Welcome to Mastering the Math of Business with Lauren Young. Today we're going to be discussing how do you measure, i.e. how do you calculate whether or not you own a successful business. This calculation comes down to actual to plan. In other words, a successful business is a business that says, I'm going to do this, and I do this, or I do this, or I do this. That's a successful business. A business that sets out to accomplish what it desires to do. In other words, what its strategy, plan, objectives, all of that good stuff does. An unsuccessful business, or a business that's struggling, is a business that has a large earnings gap. In other words, they set out to do this, and they actually did this. The larger the gap, the less success that business enjoyed based on what it set out to accomplish. Let's appreciate this a little further by just looking at a couple of thoughts associated with this. The thoughts are tied to a simple question. Was the amount of money you made last year close to what you expected? It's a yes or no answer. If the answer is yes, congratulations. You had a successful year in generating the results that you planned to generate. If the answer is no, then something happened. The gap that existed between what you actually did and what you should have done is a problem. And so with that, I always like to isolate where things can be very black and white. The core question here is a black and white question. You either did it or you didn't do it. And the true success of any business is not measured by how much money it made, but it's measured by the money that it should have made but didn't. That's the true success of a business. So with that, let's look at this narrative here. The narrative is a business is setting out to generate almost $12.3 million in sales with almost $2.2 million in net income. That's an 18% return on sales. That's the goal for this business. So the best way to determine if this business has a successful year is by monitoring its progress through the year and then scoring it at the end of the year. So with that, let's look at the math inputs. Well, the inputs you need are the plan numbers. And again, we're talking about the big four: net sales, gross profit, operating income, and net income. These are all the results of your actions. That's why these are the big four. All of the things you do to generate sales shows up in your net sales number. Everything you do to convert those sales into profit shows up in your gross profit. Everything you do to support the business so that it can generate the sales and convert those sales into profits is reflected in the operating income. And then after you take out all of the non-operating costs, add in any other income you might have earned, you're down to the net income. The big four. So here is what you need up front. You need to know what you set out to do and what you actually did. And now let's gauge the gap. So with this, it's a simple percent of plan. Your goal is always something close to 100%. That's why you put the numbers there. That's what you plan to accomplish. In this case, you can see the numbers dropping down there. They came in short of their sales plan, and then they overspent on direct and indirect costs while coming in a little less on their non-operating costs. Again, this is their actual results as a percent of what they plan to do. Now let's take a look at some key numbers here, i.e. the calculations associated with defining whether or not this business was successful in the plan year. As you can tell, when you drop through all of these numbers, in other words, the difference between plan and actual, you come down to this number here. In other words, they fell short $605,000. So if your view is that $605,000 is close to plan, then you should pause and restart this video. That kind of miss is a 5-point hit on return on sales. In other words, instead of making 18%, they made 13%. $605,000 is a big deal. That indicates that there's something are some things that went wrong. And in this case, it's pretty clear. They hurt themselves on the sales front, but they spent way too much on direct costs. And therein lies the opportunity. What can be done to better manage costs as a percent of sales? That's the number one need for this business in this situation. As with all videos associated with this platform or this YouTube channel, there's a call to action associated with it. This call to action is really directed at those who aren't making the kind of money that they'd like to make. There's a great article on business-cpr.com/S3. S3 is a terrific article that will help you isolate some of the things that you can do to take the information that's already in your business, it's already there, and put it to good use in making smarter decisions that will lead you to make more money. I do wish to thank you for tuning into this video, and I want to encourage you to ask yourself these two questions. How big is your earnings gap? And is it an acceptable amount? Yes or no? And the bigger the amount, the more things need to change up. And so with this video, welcome any comments or suggestions. If you have an area you'd like to better understand, post it to the channel and I'll respond to it. Likes are appreciated as well as subscriptions. Subscribes are loved by YouTube, and as a result, I love them. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Mastering the Math of Business with Lauren Young. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.